Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
What's up, guys, and welcome to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cynthia, and happy Thursday, everyone. I hope you all are having and continuing to have an amazing week and are going strong at it, whether you're working at home, working from home, or not, just chilling, whatever the case may be. I hope you guys are, having a great week. And I feel really great right now, actually, because I hosted my first Instagram live workout with one of my really close friends. She's a fitness trainer in the Bay Area. And as many of you may know, returning listeners may know, I'm located here in the Sacramento area. So we used to go to the gym all the time together, her and I. Like, we always used to train together, and it was really nice, training with somebody who, one, is at similar fitness level as me. So it makes, programming a workout very easy since we're both kind of already on the same page and on the same level. And two, it's always nice, working out with someone else or with other people. There's that accountability there, right? Like, when you're working out with somebody, it's almost like a friendly competition between you and that other person you're working out with, because you may be like super tired, burnt out, and then you may look at your friend there still pumping reps out or whatever, they're still going. And at least for me, that motivates me. And that's like, okay, keep it going, like your friend is still going at it. She's killing it. So like, I'm able to do it as well. So not only is it an accountability thing so that you, for one, show up, but it's also a great motivator to work out with somebody and to just keep you disciplined on your goals. So my friend and I, we FaceTimed two weeks ago, and we're like, let's do an Instagram live workout. And so we programmed this workout. We practiced it last week. We did like a lower body workout, and it was so hard. I did it my first time last week on my own, and I literally wanted to throw up. Like, I was so deconditioned because we would incorporate some strength training exercises along with some more like cardiovascular lower body work. And for those of you new listeners tuning in right now, one thing you'll learn about me is that I am not a cardio person. Like, HIIT cardio destroys me. Okay. So I was having a tough time with this workout, but that's why we did like a practice run together to make sure that, for one, we're able to complete the workout. Two, the workout is just under an hour, since on Instagram Live, you can only record for an hour and it'll kick you off basically. And just making sure as well that our form is on point. So we did that, and then we hosted it this morning on my Instagram account, me and my friend, and it was so much fun. Like, first of all, I'm just so grateful for all the people who did tune in, because I definitely wasn't expecting that many amount of viewers to view the workout, especially since I don't consider myself, like, I don't have a huge following on Instagram. So I didn't expect a ton of people to show up. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people aren't that in tune with like live workouts or like just live anything. So I don't know. My expectations, I didn't really go in with expectations, but we had such a great turnout. We had almost 300 people on the live, viewing the live, which is like mind blowing and a little bit crazy and a little bit scary that many viewers were like watching me, like just work out in the comfort of my own home. Luckily, like the comments were contained. Like the majority of the people on the live workout were women, and everyone was being super respectful. So no problems there. I know a lot of times with the Instagram live, there's always like some weirdos on there just commenting just stupid things just because. So we didn't have any issues there, and it was just such a great workout. We were playing good music, and I was definitely like pushing myself even harder because I'm seeing all these viewers and I'm like, hey, they're watching me. Like I'm supposed to be the one motivating them, and I'm supposed to be leading, I'm the example. So I have to like keep pushing myself. But in reality, it's a two-way street. It works both ways. You feel me? So they may not know this, but although I can't see them, the fact that they're commenting and virtually like participating in the workout like keeps me super hyped and keeps me motivated to keep going through the workout. So nonetheless, with all of that said, I had an amazing morning. That was like the best way for me to start my day. And I mean, I am a trainer at a gym, and unfortunately gyms are still closed. So I haven't been in like a class atmosphere, so this is like the second best thing I had, and I really miss just like teaching and like coaching people through a workout. So I'm always like on a high after a class, and I'm always just so happy, and like it literally just fulfills me. So I'm in a extremely positive mood, very happy mood today. And yeah, let's get to what we're really here to talk about. As you were able to tell by the title, TRX suspension training. This is like the new wave lately. I feel like almost a month ago, TRX, they were hosting, usually to get certified, to be a TRX certified coach, you need to take their in-person class. TRX only allows in-person certifications, and usually those classes are around like $400. So pretty pricey, but jam-packed with a lot of knowledge. So I was going to do one. The closest place for me from Sacramento is San Francisco. So I actually would have had to drive to San Francisco to take this. It's like an 8-hour TRX in-person like course that if you want to be certified as a TRX suspension training coach, you need to be, the only way to do that is through in-person. However, with Miss Rona still roaming around and, ruining all of our lives, that's not possible. So TRX, they have been so kind to allow trainers such as myself or just people in general to sign up for TRX suspension course and become TRX certified health coaches virtually for free. For free, you guys. Like this is like worth $400, a $400 class, and they're offering it online for free. Like that is just so amazing, and I'm like so grateful they did that, especially during this rough time. A lot of people are without jobs, money is tight, so it's really nice of them to like waive that fee for everyone and offer a free course, and you become certified. Like you're actually certified. It's like a win-win. So I was super juiced. I actually did it with one of my friends as well. She did the TRX class. We did it on different days. You're able to like sign up online and choose like what time and everything. Mind you, they are like, it's a very long class. It's like a 6-hour course. So mine was like from 8 in the morning to almost 2:30 in the afternoon. So it was rough. It's really different, like learning the material, like online than it is in person. And I'm an extrovert, and I'm extremely like not only visual, but like I need to physically like practice hand on what they're doing. So that was like the only difficulty that I really faced throughout the course, was that I wasn't able to like physically practice like setting up the suspension trainer and all of that stuff. And it's just really hard to like sit through a 6-hour course. I don't know, like it's pretty challenging. My back was hurting. There weren't many breaks. I think they had like 2 15-minute breaks for us to like go grab and eat something. But this is definitely a course that like you can't slack off. Like every minute of that course, like they're sharing valuable information that's going to be on the test that you have to take afterwards. So it's like you have to pay attention. You can't just slack off just because it's an online course. You feel me? So I know I expanded this conversation already way too long. So I'm going to cut into a very short break right now. When we come back, we're going to dive into what is TRX suspension training.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco, ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Are you looking to learn more about the latest trends from the fitness world? Are you confused by all of the different trends that are out there? The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place for you. The GSMC Fitness Podcast is the place to come for people of all skill and interest levels. Join us as we explore the latest trends in the fitness world. Does that new exercise really work? Should I try yoga? Whatever your question, chances are good you'll find an answer on the GSMC Fitness Podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So I dove a little bit too deep into, my experience taking this TRX suspension training course. And I am officially certified by them, and I wish I had the suspension trainer at home so I can practice these movements, but I do my best. I do with a rope, which is really ghetto, but it's fine. So here we go. What is TRX suspension training? I know many of you may know about this. Some of you may not. So in simplistic terms, TRX suspension training is using the TRX suspension trainer from a single anchor point. Part of your body is in suspension while the other part of your body is on the floor. And based how you position yourself, you can challenge yourself in any way and any level possible. So you're basically manipulating your center of gravity. And the TRX suspension trainer, it's a piece of equipment, you guys. So it looks almost like a piece of rope. You can tie it on a tree, on your door, and perform exercise that way. And fun fact, a little history of where, TRX suspension training came about. So this actually came from the military. TRX suspension training was a military, originating from, military Navy SEALs. So if you want to push your body like the Navy SEALs do try TRX suspension training, which again uses gravity and your body weight to make workouts more challenging. It has like heavy duty adjustable straps, similar to the SEAL's parachute webbing, which is the basis of TRX. You can either buy the straps, which the TRX suspension trainer, it costs about $200. So it is kind of pricey. Actually, I'm going to be straight up. It's expensive, okay? It's expensive for like a piece of rope. I get it. I'm very fortunate that the gym that I was going to has like multiple TRXs at their gym that I was able to use and practice. But unfortunately, I don't have the equipment. And to be honest, I don't feel like spending $200, especially since I know eventually gyms will be opening back up. So I don't want to spend my money there. And again, you anchor the gear. You could use it on a door, outside, basically anywhere where there's like a high point and it like hangs sturdy. So if you take TRX to the limit, you can push your body really hard. You'll sweat for sure. But if you're like not that, I don't want to say not that fit, but if you're like a beginner, you can back off on the intensity and still get a challenging workout. It really all depends on how you position your body. And I'm going to now share with you guys some of the areas that it targets. And one of the amazing, great things about TRX suspension training is that it is a total body workout. You can target almost every single body part in suspension training. Your core, your arms, your legs, your glutes, your back. I mean, especially your core. Like, again, TRX suspension training, you're basically manipulating your center of gravity. So your core is involved whether you are performing upper body exercises or lower body exercises. Your core is activated, and no matter what exercise you're doing on the TRX, and there are literally hundreds, you guys, you'd be surprised by how many exercises and the vast exercise library that TRX holds. Almost every one of them challenges your core. So it's a really, really great tool. And another kind of fun fact about TRX training is that since it originated from the military, Navy SEALs, they use a lot of acronyms. A lot of acronyms. So that has transferred over to TRX suspension training and suspension training courses. So I'm going to share with you guys some valuable information right now. This is stuff that you can't find on the TRX suspension training website. This is an acronym that was taught to me from the virtual course that I took from TRX training. And that is FLAC. Okay, that is FLAC. F stands for focus on the movement technique. L stands for learn the right progression, which is super important. A is apply the progression to training. And C is challenge the movement. So in a nutshell, that is what is TRX suspension training. FLAC. Focus on the movement technique, learn the right progression, apply the progression to training, and challenge the movement. So moving on, let's talk about the components of the TRX suspension trainer. Basically like the different parts that make up this rope, this very expensive rope. So the first is I'm going to list these from 1 through 11, and I'm basically going to list them how you would visually see the rope. So from top to bottom, that's how I'm listing the components of the suspension trainer. So number 1 is the suspension anchor. 2 is intermediate anchor loops. 3 is anchor carabiner. 4 is the main carabiner. 5 is the equalizer loop. 6 is the locking loop. 7 are the adjustment tabs. 8 are the barrel lock adjusters or cam buckle, depending on which model of suspension trainer you have. 9 are the handles. 10 are the foot cradles. And 11 are the main strap. So those are the components of the TRX suspension trainer. I know it may seem like a lot because, again, this is basically like a piece of rope, But all of these components are what make up the suspension trainer, and it's very important to understand how to correctly utilize each component. So I'm going to now share with you guys how to set up and anchor your suspension trainer, which is like so freaking key, you guys. And I'm actually really embarrassed to admit that prior to me learning or taking the course, the suspension training virtual course, I thought that just because I was already a certified personal trainer, I thought that I already knew how to appropriately and effectively use the TRX suspension trainer. I thought, like, how hard could it be? You know, like, you put your foot in there in the foot cradles and you do these exercises. And boy, was I wrong, you guys. Like, I literally felt like such an idiot when I was going through the course, because I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so embarrassed. I literally did these workouts at the gym and performed them so incorrectly. And I thought I was doing it right the whole time. And even more embarrassing, I recorded my workout and posted it into my Instagram story. So I put it out there into the world thinking I knew what I was doing, yada, yada, yada. Look at me doing this cool exercise. I'm, fighting gravity. My feet are on those foot cradles, and I look like an idiot because I was really doing it wrong the entire time. So definitely pay attention to how I'm going to explain to you guys how to set up and anchor your TRX suspension trainer the appropriate way, okay? So the first thing is that the ideal height for anchoring your suspension trainer is 7 to 9 feet. 7 to 9 feet. Let me tell you, mine was not 7 to 9 feet, okay? Mine was so wrong. So wrong. Like, it was way higher. It was way, like, my feet were like past my head. If I'm laying on the ground and my feet were on the foot cradles, they were like way too high up. So I'm embarrassed to say my suspension trainer was not anchored at the appropriate height. Next thing, really important, is that your equalizer loop is 6 feet. Your equalizer loop needs to be hanging 6 feet from where it's located to the bottom. The cradles, the foot cradles where you put your foot in or where you hold, should be 3 inches off the ground. Again, mine were not 3 inches off the ground. They were like 10 inches off the ground. Also, another really important thing about setting up and anchoring your suspension trainer is that you don't anchor the carabiner. The carabiner was not meant to support human body weight, so it will literally snap. The webbing, which is usually like the yellow part or strap in the suspension trainer, is what's supposed to be anchored, not the carabiner. Again, you will mess up the whole thing and you will just hurt yourself. And you don't want to clip carabiner to carabiner. So that's basically like the metal parts. You don't want to clip those together. Also, when anchoring to a door, the ideal situation is to anchor to it, to the door that closes into you. So if you're facing your door and the door closes into you, set up your suspension trainer that way. But if you are using a door that opens into you, not closes into you, but opens into you, that's not ideal. You want to ideally anchor it to a door that closes into you, not away. Does that make sense? Again, this is only if you're going to anchor it into the door. If you're going to anchor it outside, then disregard what I just said. And if the door closes away from you, then anchor as close to the hinge as possible. This is just, again, a safety precaution. So that way, if someone were to open the door, it doesn't just like fall through. Does that make sense? And obviously, like if you are putting your suspension trainer on the door, the suspension trainer won't be 6 to 9 feet tall, and that's okay. So just work with what you got right now. Like I said, we're quarantined, so life is a little different right now. So just play with what you got. But that's just the basics of how to set up and anchor your suspension trainer the appropriate way. So I'm going to cut into a very brief break right now. When we come back, more on suspension training.
You really can't underestimate the importance of having the right creative work for your brand or your product. Whether it's a logo, a website, a book cover, or an ad campaign, you really need a quality design to make that big difference pop and deliver your overall engagement and success in a competitive market. That's where Design Crowd comes in. Design Crowd has over 750,000 designers from Sydney to San Francisco ready to help you with awesome creative ideas. They make crowdsourcing work for you. So if you need a logo or you're working on your creative branding, you can go to designcrowd.com and post a brief describing the design you need. And then within about 2 to 7 days, you'll receive up to over 100 different designs from designers around the world. Then you pick the best design and approve payment to the designer. So you're only paying for the design that you want. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of freelancing and out of crowdsourcing. And you don't have to be a huge company like Harvard Business School to use Design Crowd, although they have used it as well. You can start a project on Design Crowd for as little as $99. And if you go right now to designcrowd.com/health and wellness or enter the promo code health and wellness on their website, then our health and wellness listeners will receive up to $150 off of your design project. That's designcrowd.com/health and wellness or entering that promo code health and wellness.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So in the previous section, or it's not section, what are we, a club? In the previous segment, we started to talk about what is TRX suspension training, the components of the suspension trainer, and how to appropriately set up and anchor your suspension trainer. So let's learn from my mistakes and actually learn how to do this, y'all, because there's a lot that goes into using the trainer, as easy and as simple this little piece of equipment may seem. So let's now get into what I'd like to, or first, how to change length on suspension trainer. So this is going to be very useful if you have this piece of equipment. So listen up. To lengthen, use the barrel lock, toggle them halfway, and pull down at the same time. If you pull them down not at the same time, that's when you get that weird, like, one foot cradles all the way up and the other one's down. So to keep them even, at the same time, pull down. To shorten, toggle halfway down and pull up one at a time. So when you're trying to shorten, it's okay to pull up one at a time. You don't need to do it at the same time. All rowing motion, so like back exercises, like if you're doing your mid row, high row, etc., straps are fully shortened all the way. I did not know this, you guys. rowing motions, like whether it's like the mid row, high row, I was doing it when the strap was super lengthened. So can you imagine? I'm like in everybody's way at the gym because I'm like really only supposed to be like 6 feet away from it. But I'm reality, I'm like 10 feet away because the straps are like fully lengthened. So, oh my God, when I was going through this course, I was just like face to palm, like, oh my God, like how did I think I was doing this right? I'm like so embarrassed looking back. Anyway, and another very important thing about length on suspension trainer is that the foot cradles should be around mid calf. So let's now get into this thing that I learned, these numbers, this equation, whatever you want to call it, that I learned from my suspension training course, and that is the 663. 6 procedures, 6 body positions, and 3 principles of progression. Like I said, you guys, I'm really sharing with you guys some valuable information. This is $400 worth of stuff course. This is all things I learned from the course, and I want to spread the love, spread the knowledge, and share it with y'all. So I really hope y'all are taking notes. And again, if y'all have any questions about this, I'm talking way too fast, because I did have a little coffee today. Then let me know in the comments what your questions are, or at me at Twitter. We're very active on the Twitter account at GSMC_health. So you can ask your questions there and I'll be sure to respond. So let's talk about the 6 procedures, which are adjusting length, single hand mode, offset foot position, heels in, toes in, and even pressure. The 6 body positions are standing and face anchor point, standing and facing away, standing sideways, ground facing, ground away, and ground sideways. So these are the 6 different body positions when we're looking at your body position to the anchor. And the 3 principles of progression are, first, the vector resistance principle, in which you are changing the anchor of your body to change the progression of the exercise. So basically, the closer your feet are to the anchor point, the harder it is. Okay? Does that make sense? So I'm going to try and give you guys an example. Now I can't think of an example. I'm going to have to come back, you guys, because I literally can't think right now of an exercise that demonstrates the vector resistance principle. Wow. Seems like that coffee isn't working out for me anymore because my mind just went for a blank. So I'll be sure to come back and share an example of the vector resistance principle. Let's move on to stability principle. This is our second principle of progression. And this is basically that the wider your feet are or the base of support are, the easier it is. So for beginners or for like very obese individuals who are just starting out on suspension training, the split stance is ideal. So the split stance is basically when one foot is in front of the other. So for instance, if you are doing the mid row, which is a back exercise in which you're grabbing onto the handles and you're pulling through the elbows, squeezing your back muscles, when you're doing that mid row, the easiest and beginner friendly way to start on that exercise is to be in the split stance. And once you have been accustomed to that split stance, then you widen your feet so where it's like hip width apart. That is your base of support. And then that becomes the next level progression, and you continue along with that exercise. And then to continuously make the exercise harder, you then can stand on one foot and continue the exercise that way. So basically the stability principle, it's in the name, it plays with stability. So the more stable you are, the easier it is, and the less stable, the more challenging it is. Does that make sense? And then the pendulum principle. So the pendulum principle of progression, this only applies when you are performing exercises when your toes or feet are inside the foot cradles. So the pendulum principle wouldn't apply to that mid-row example I just gave because your feet are in the foot cradles. You're using the handles with your hands. So the pendulum principle does not apply. Pendulum principle is only when your toes and feet are in the foot cradles. How many more times can I say pendulum principle? I don't know, but it's hurting my mouth. My tongue's getting all twisted here. So, what is it now? I'm like, I haven't even explained really what this is. So, when your toes and feet are in the foot cradles and are behind, beneath, or in front of the anchor. So, that changes the progression of the exercise. So, let's say you are lying on, or keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. A plank. I feel like the majority of us may know what a plank is, right? That's a core exercise, really total body. So say we're doing a plank. The easiest way for you to do a plank is with the anchor right below, or your foot cradles right below the anchor. So just right below, you're not moving or anything. The more challenging, if you want to challenge it, then you move the foot cradle so that it's in front of the anchor point. In front, okay? So if your feet are in front of the anchor point, that will make the exercise harder. So if you do a plank with the feet in front of the anchor point, it will be harder. If you do a plank and the feet are behind the anchor point, that will be a lot easier, okay? That's how the pendulum principle works. For shoulder exercises, if you pull hard on the straps away from ears, one foot in front of the other to keep tension, that's the offset foot position. Does that make sense, people? I know I'm throwing like a lot of information at you, but again, this is all very valuable information. And I hope you guys are just really taking it all in, because trust me, you don't want to be like me and do these completely wrong, because I feel so embarrassed. And the fact that I posted the exercise online is like even more cringeworthy. So yay. All right. Let's get into the deadly sins of TRX. Basically, I know this is just me being dramatic, but these are the 6 no's. The 6, and they all start with an S to keep it simple, to keep it easy for you to remember. So the deadly sins of TRX, the 6 no's. First one being to never sag your hips. No sagging. If you don't have your plank like on the floor normally, if you can't do a normal plank, then don't try it on a suspension. Okay, so that is basically the rule of thumb for almost any exercise that you try to perform on suspension training. Like if you can't do it properly without the help of suspension trainer, then don't add that extra layer of difficulty with the trainer, because that's just gonna, 1, literally you're gonna injure yourself, and 2, it's gonna be very uncomfortable, and 3, you're not gonna reap the benefits. So no sagging your hips. Number 2 is no sawing. 3 is no scraping. So scraping is like, you don't want the straps to be like scraping the sides. Say for instance, you're doing, again, I'm going to use just the example of the mid row because it's the easiest. If you're doing the mid row, you don't want to scrape it against your sides, like your chest. The next one is no slacking. So slacking basically means that if you are extending the TRX completely straight, no slacking is if it bends. Does that make sense? Again, it's kind of hard for me to explain that one because that's like a more visual, like you guys need to visually see what I'm talking about. So let's move on. And then really important, starting improperly. Don't start improperly. Start at the level that's appropriate for you. Again, that was a huge mistake that I did. I thought, I was like an overachiever. I thought I was an overachiever and like try to challenge my body in ways that were not helpful. So again, don't sag, don't saw, don't scrape, don't slack, don't start improperly, and don't stop. We're going to cut to another very brief break right now. When we come back, I'll be sharing with you guys more on mobility work and on foundational movements.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I was going to say progress. Okay, I don't know why. Welcome to the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. There we go. That's more formal. So we're going to start diving into more of mobility work and functional movements. My favorite thing about the TRX suspension trainer is that it is ideal for mobility work and functional training. If you don't know what those are, mobility work is basically how to make your body more mobile, make it so that you are moving in the most optimal way. And functional training is basically training your body for its daily movement patterns that you do every single day. So, for instance, walking, there's always constantly one foot over the other. And that's why we do lunges, and we do the treadmill, right? Like we walk on the treadmill, we do Stairmaster, things of that nature. Like all of those things literally replicate that movement, what we do in real life, like going up the stairs, walking in real life. Same for like an overhead shoulder press. I mean, you can think of overhead shoulder press as anytime you lift your arms above your head. So anytime that let's say you're on a plane and you have to lift that heavy carry-on bag over your head. Unfortunately, that's not what I'm doing right now, but I'm looking forward to that. So that is functional training and performing functional movements and what mobility work is. So we're going to get into first the procedures or length adjustments. So they are fully shortened, mid-length, mid-cap, fully lengthened, and over-shortened. Again, I had no idea there were this many length adjustments when it came to the TRX suspension trainer. And masses and spaces. I think this is really important to talk about as well, since we're basically dealing and defying gravity when using the TRX suspension trainer. So your head is a mass, your neck is a space, your chest is a mass, your waist is a space, and your hips are a mass. Does that all make sense? Yes, no, maybe so. I know it's kind of weird to talk about and like it may not make sense. Whatever. Let's get into the mobility workout now. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys some great mobility exercises that you can include into your workout regimen. And I'm going to be talking about like the length and how to perform the movement and all of that good stuff. So the first exercise are TRX wall slides. TRX wall slides, and the procedure or length adjustment, the appropriate length adjustment for this exercise is mid-length. And your position is standing facing away. So you are facing away from your anchor point and standing. So I'm going to now talk about or share the setup and movement cues for the TRX wall slides. To start, keep tension on suspension trainer, hands in the foot cradles, arms extended overhead and then slightly behind your ears, okay? And imagine the back of your head, your T-spine and tailbone are touching an imaginary wall. That's why it's called the wall slide. And slowly and deliberately slide your arms up and down bringing elbows into your ribs, and you're trying to keep your elbows and wrists in contact with the same imaginary wall. And of course, most importantly, keep your core braced and breathe normally. Breathing normally is key to making sure you execute the exercise correctly. And to return, just step backward to take tension off the suspension trainer. So this one is really good for warming up again your T-spine, your shoulders, your rotator cuff, basically your entire upper body extremity. I love doing these. Again, unfortunately, since I don't have the suspension trainer with me at the moment, I still perform the same movement on an actual wall, and I'll put like a mini band over my wrist and perform the exercise in that way. And if you tuned into my last podcast that I did a couple days ago, then you already know what I'm talking about when I'm referring to the mini band. If you don't know, then go tune into that one. That is episode 291, all about resistance training and resistance bands, the different types. And common faults of the TRX wall slides are not being able to move through the full range of motion, which is actually a lot more common than some of you may think. A lot of us work desk jobs. Well, not right now, but maybe a lot of us type a lot, or if you are a gamer, you're playing video games, think about it. You're in a slouch position, and 9 times out of 10, your shoulders are hovering over your chest. So that creates a faulty movement pattern. So the TRX wall slide is amazing for correcting that and making sure that you're able to move through the full range of motion. And another like kind of body check when it comes to this one is, or things to think about, are you keeping a level belt line, ribs down, and fully extending your arms without arching your back? So with this one, we want to make sure we keep our core braced without arching your back. If you are arching your back, that is going to cause great discomfort in that lower back area. The next thing, common fault, is people flexing the neck, or chicken pecking, I like to call it, in which their neck literally or their chin protrudes forward. So a body check that you can do is, are you focusing on maintaining your line from your ears to your shoulders to hips to knees to ankles? So it should be a nice linear line from top to bottom. Again, if you guys have questions, let me know in the comments below. Next mobility workout that I really like is the TRX lower back stretch with rotation. This is another one of my I'm so fond of this exercise. I get a lot of like back discomfort. I'm not sure why, because I feel like I'm like focused on posture and keeping my abs tight. And I don't know, I still sometimes experience lower back discomfort, which is really annoying because I'm only 24 years old. So anyway, the TRX lower back stretch with rotation. The appropriate length adjustment for this exercise is mid-length, and your position is standing facing. So you're facing the anchor point. So the setup and movement cues are to extend your arms, and you want to keep a slight bend in your knees. You never want to lock your knees in any of the exercise that you perform, whether it's lower body or upper body, because that's just going to cause a lot of tension into your knee, and that can potentially lead to injury, which that is not what we're here to do. We are not here to, exhaust your body in that manner. So make sure your knees are always in a slight bend, whatever exercise you partake in. And then the movement, how you go through the movement is to release your hips down and back, drop your chin, bend one knee, and rotate your upper body toward the straight leg. So if I were to do this, I want you guys to visually, I'm going to use some imagery here, okay? So pretend your arms are straight, you're hinging at your hips, okay? Let's say you're keeping that right leg straight or at a slight bend. Your left knee is bent and you're rotating towards the right leg because your right leg is straight, and then you perform the leg or the exact same movement onto the opposite side. Again, I love this one for stretching my entire back, lengthening my entire back. Some common faults are the rotating of the neck and not the torso. You're not looking under your armpit. Your chest should be all the way underneath your armpit, if that makes sense. So rotate your torso, not just your neck. Another common fault with this one is rotating your shoulders at the top. And another one is rotating from your neck and not your T-spine and hips. So you're literally turning from your hips to the top of your shoulders. And here are my 3 body checks, things that you should think about while going through the movement. The first body check should be, are you rotating through your torso? If not, fix that. No, I'm kidding. All right. And then the next body check is, are you standing tall, level belt line? And then the next body check when performing the TRX lower back stretch with rotation is, open your chest and shoulders to the left and right. You want to open that front area, not keep it closed. And I'm going to continue in a very brief break right now. When we come back, I'm going to continue sharing with you guys my favorite mobility exercises on the TRX suspension trainer.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. So we're almost done. We're about to wrap up some of my favorite mobility exercises to perform on the TRX suspension trainer. The next one is kind of similar to the TRX lower back stretch with rotation. This one is the TRX T-spine rotation, one of my favorites as well. Well, obviously it's one of my favorites because I'm mentioning it in this podcast. Anyway, the appropriate adjustment length for this exercise is mid-length. Your position is standing sideways. Sorry, you guys, these are usually abbreviated, so I have to dig into my brain and be like, what does this mean? So standing sideways, that's your position towards the anchor point. And the setup and movement cues are to grab both foot cradles with the left hand and walk back until the left arm is extended. Offset your feet with the right foot forward, and then you cross your right arm over the left arm. Okay? And you anchor your left shoulder blade and slowly open the body to the right by leading with the right arm. And to return, you basically just bring your right arm back up and over to start the position. So again, very great for your T-spine, really rotating and getting that full range of motion in your back. Some of the common faults of the TRX T-spine rotation are holding tension in your anchored arm, like elbow bent and shoulder rounded, and letting your open arm fall back too far out of alignment. So you can feel almost like when you sit, you can even do it standing. So open your arms in a T right now, y'all. Everybody do it. Open your arms out to a T. If your arm goes too far back past your rotator cuff, you start to feel like a little pinging, right? Like an impingement. So you definitely don't want to overextend because, again, that's malalignment, and malalignment can lead to faulty movement patterns, which can lead to injuries. And again, that's not what we're here to do. So a couple body checks I want you guys to think about when performing this exercise are you letting your anchored arm fully extend and stabilize through your back and core? the next body check or question you should ask yourself while performing this movement is, are you keeping a long straight line across your shoulders down to your open hand, focusing on rotation from your upper back? So on this one, it's more on your upper back. We're focusing rotation. And in the previous mobility exercise, the TRX lower back stretch, it's in the name. Obviously, that's more for your lower back. Both amazing to warm up for your upper body days. Ooh, I love this one. Well, of course, I love all of these because I'm mentioning it too. Why do I keep saying that? Anyway, this next one always gets me super hyped because I love my lower body days. I love my lower body exercises, and that includes my lower body mobility work. So this is the TRX hip hinge wide stance. You could do these as a wide stance or narrow stance. I am pretty flexible, so I do this in a wide stance. Nonetheless, it's still the same movement with the hip hinge. So the setup and movement cues are to sit on your heels, sit back on your heels, extend your arms in front of your chest, and then bend forward, hinging at the hips. And then to return, you just press down on the handles and you roll up tall and then repeat that same process. This is amazing for stretching your entire posterior chain, your back, your hamstring, your calves, your adductors, inner thighs. I truly love this exercise. More than a couple actually, but a few common faults in regards to the TRX hip hinge are sometimes your hips come off your heels. And then like the rounding of the spine, right? That's another very common one. So making sure you keep a nice neutral line from the crown of your head to the tailbone. Nice straight line. And sometimes as well, too much bending at the knees. With this one, it's like you're almost locking out your knees, but not quite. But it's like a very tiny slight bend with this one. And here are a few body checks or questions you guys can ask yourself while performing this exercise. Are you sitting back on your heels? You want to make sure you're sitting back on your heels and not on your toes. Another body check. Are you keeping pressure on the handles and maintaining a long spine? And the last one is to make sure you push the hips back, kind of like you're shutting the car door, right? That's kind of like what you want to think, like you're shutting the car door with your booty, so you're hinging your hips back. And then last but not least, one of my other favorites are the TRX squat row. This is an amazing total body mobility workout. Really warms up your shoulders, your back, your legs, everything. And this is also adjusted at mid-length, and your position as standing facing the anchor point. So the setup and movement cues are starting, lean back, extend arms in front of your chest. Feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart. So that's your starting position. And then the actual movement of the exercise is to lower your hips down and back, and your arms are straight and your chest is lifted up. You want to make sure you don't drop that chest, because then again, all the pain and discomfort falls straight on that lower back. And then to return, you just drive through your heels, pull your body toward the anchor point by driving your elbows back, and your eyes are always forward. I know that was a lot that I just mentioned. Again, this is a total body workout or total body exercise. A couple common faults I have noticed with this one are breaking at the hips and dropping your elbows below shoulders at the top of the movement, which you don't want to do. So body checks or body questions that you can ask yourself while performing the movement are, is your chest lifted and your core engaged? Two very important components of performing this exercise correctly. Keeping that chest up, not collapse, and making sure those abs are nice and tight. And then the other body checker question is, are your elbows in line with your shoulders? Are your elbows in line with the shoulders? So again, those are like my top, how many was that? I don't even know, 4 or 5 mobility exercises. So the TRX wall slides, the TRX lower back stretch with rotation, the TRX T-spine rotation, the TRX hip hinge wide stance, and the TRX squat row, which put together is an amazing mobility warm-up. I usually do these exercises before I go into my training session, and I highly recommend that you do as well. Again, just injury prevention and things of that nature. So you guys, that's going to wrap up today's episode here at the GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. I know I gave you guys a lot of information. This was a jam-packed episode. We talked about, suspension training. What is it? The different components of suspension training, as well as some of my favorite mobility workouts, which, again, as always, I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed listening to me talk about these things. And if you liked what I had to discuss on today's episode, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff, because that tremendously helps the show. And I do like engaging with you guys via social media. And I hope you all have a very healthy, happy, and successful week ahead. And I'll catch you guys here for the next one.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.